Look, how can you make the perfect listing which is definitely going to attract the best tenants? This is easy for me, but there are some, they're not secrets, but there are some techniques that maybe you wouldn't know unless you're in the industry and you've been doing it for a number of years. First of all, look, obviously, take high-res photos. Now, the current iPhones and Samsungs and other makes are phenomenal. The latest ones at taking photos. But you want to have the best photo you can possibly have. Now, I don't mean go out and buy an expensive camera. In fact, don't go and buy an expensive camera. You just need a good quality photo. Because remember, most people, something like 60% or 70%, most, I don't know the actual stat. Rightmove did tell me the stat actually, but they're expecting, by the way, they're expecting 90% of all property views to be on the phone in the very near future. So remember that your photos need to be phone friendly. So you can take them on your phone and they will be great for other people to view on their phone. And I want to give you a quick little photography lesson 101. If there are any photographers out there, then please, I'd love your input on this. But if you go out and buy a really expensive 14 megapixel camera and it's brilliant and it's got the great lenses and all of that, then that photo, all right, I might be wrong about this, but that photo is being taken this big. But it's being viewed on something this big. So you don't need it. All you need is something this big that's going to take a photo of something this big and share it on something where people are going to look at those photos on something this big. Now, if you're on the podcast, sorry about that. What I basically did was say, if you get an expensive camera and it's a big 14 megapixel thing, then it's taking huge photos that you're then compressing so that people can view it on their phone. Really, I've heard that the internet or Facebook or places like that naturally compress photos down to about 5 megapixels. Now, if that's the case, now I don't know if that's true or not, but if that's the case, then you're just wasting a load of megapixels for no reason. So you might as well just take it on something like your phone or a standard camera so that you can get the best photo which can appear in the best way on phones. Now, when you're taking that photo, make sure you're doing it in a landscape. If your phone is upright, then that is portrait. If your phone is sideways, that's landscape. Sounds really obvious. Sorry if you already knew that. Next, hold that phone or that camera at your chest height to take the photo. It really irritates me when people hold the phone up high and take photos. Hold it at your chest height and take the photo from that height. And also try to photograph as much of the room as possible. Go and stand in a corner and take the photo of as much of it as you can. Try and get as much floor and wall space into that photo as you possibly can. And always try and include the window. If you can get that window into the photo, then that's a better photo. If you can, only take photos of the best parts of the house or the flat. You should not take, well, do you know what? Rightmove recommend that you should only have between 8 and 12 photos because they statistically are the most effective listings where there are between 8 and 12 photos. And let's think about that a bit more. Because what is the property listing? It's an advertisement. It's a trailer. You don't go and watch a movie trailer only to see the whole movie in the trailer. You're then not going to go and see the movie. And it's the same with a property. If you are looking for properties to move into and you've got someone that puts 30 photos or 20 photos on there, then you might feel before you've seen the property that you've already seen the entire property. And you might make your mind up that you don't want to go and see the property. Now, it's like selling a car, isn't it? The car salesman will always try and get you into the car. And that's what we want to do here. That's the whole point of a listing. You're not going to rent a property out through the listing. You're not going to sell a property through the listing. Your job is creating an advert which brings people to the property. That's the job. Remember that. Don't think of anything else. So only use 8 to 12 photos, preferably 8, and only use the features of the property, the real selling points. Don't take a photo of a room that's full of junk. Don't take a photo of a plain magnolia box room. You just don't need it. Don't take a photo of a door. Don't take a photo of a ceiling. Don't take a photo of the corner of a room. Who's seen any listings from agents where they've taken a photo of the corner of a room? Thanks for that. Brilliant. But definitely include the window. Windows are always good to include as long as you get the rest of the room in too. Now you need to include the most basic of information in the description. Again, don't be emotional. Only include factual information. So what does that room contain? And again, go back to that whole point of it's a trailer. It's not the full property. So give in that listing, you give the key features of that room, purely factual and no emotion. And by no emotion, I mean don't write things like, this wonderful and beautiful place is full of natural sunlight and blah, 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 blah. Don't include selling types of wording. Don't try and sell in your listing. Just give the features, give them factually, make sure they're correct, use the photos and the listing to draw people into the property. Don't try and sell to people on the listing. Why? Easy. Look, nobody likes to be sold to. And in fact, when you're looking through properties, what you're looking for is the facts. If you feel like someone's trying to sell to you, there is an element of doubt that creeps in. There's an element of, some people become a little bit more stubborn and rebellious. Other people start to question why that person needs to sell. Why are you describing it so fantastically and wonderfully? Why not just tell me what it is? There are just different people around the world and different people react differently to different things. But everybody reacts the same to fact. You read a fact, it's logical and that's it. Whereas if you are trying to use emotion and you're trying to oversell something, then the reaction of people is unpredictable. And also, don't bother anyway, because it just doesn't get you anywhere. And in fact, the best listings are the one that state the facts of the features and draw people into the property. Now, going on a little bit further, do include a floor plan. Now, you might think, I don't know how to draw a floor plan. That's all right, because there's loads of companies that will do it for you. If you go to MetroPix, for an example, just Google search MetroPix, that's METROPIX, then you can either draw it on their website or you can just send them a rough sketch and they'll do it for you and it's only a few quid. But why get a floor plan? Well, I'll come on to this a bit more later, but what you don't want is tenants coming to your property to view that shouldn't be there, or that are time wasters, or that aren't able to proceed. And actually, floor plans are a good way of separating time wasters from actual proceedable tenants, because they will have already seen the layout of the property. And also, enhance your photos. Again, for a few quid, you can go to places or websites like Property Box or Photo Doctor, and you send them your images, and photography experts will lighten up the dark spots. They'll make sure everything can be seen in the photo, and they'll make the photos look awesome. They really do. Even external shots, everything looks better in the sunshine, right? And even external shots, if it's a cloudy, miserable day, they'll just lift out the detail of the house or the or the flat, and they'll add a blue sky, and it just looks so much nicer, and it's more appealing to people, and more people will come round. Definitely do not advertise that you don't accept DSS or housing benefit or anything like that. Just don't put it anywhere in your listing. And when people contact you about your listing, do not say that you don't accept housing benefit or DSS. It's now classed as discrimination. I did a whole video on how you can get around this and how to combat this, but please do not do it. It is now illegal. Okay, so that's the listing itself. Now, you need to dress the property. Now, I don't mean dress it in a nice frock. I mean dress the property, prepare it, get it ready for the photos, get it ready for viewings. And there's some real key things that you must remember here. I'm not talking about just tidying things up or the buzzword for this sort of stuff, declutter. Of course, that's so bloody obvious. Do you know what? There are some people that I watch a lot of video, I read a lot of blogs, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and read a lot of articles from so-called property experts, and the first thing they say, oh, you've got to declutter. Yeah, okay, that's obvious, isn't it? Yeah, you've got to tidy, you've got to clean. Well, yeah, that makes sense. But dressing your property and arranging your property, preparing your property, it's more scientific than that. There's more to it than just tidying. Come on. Anyway, rant over. So first of all, you've got to arrange the furniture in a certain way that displays more floor and wall space, right? So by that, I mean if you have a lounge with a sofa and 2 armchairs and a coffee table and a bookshelf and a TV unit and a magazine rack and another smaller coffee table and blah, 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 all of these things, then I would say take the coffee table out, take the bookshelf out, so that you can see more floor and wall space. Take the photo and put them back. Or put them in a cupboard, store them, so that when you do viewings, there you go. Now, if you've got an unfurnished property, I would actually recommend renting furniture. It's cheap as chips, and it really does benefit your listing. It makes people attracted to the property. But that's a whole different thing of what you should include in your property and what you shouldn't. So rent furniture if you want, or just leave it empty. But the key is that you've got to show floor and wall space. That's the thing. Good. And why do you do that? Well, the science behind that is that people looking at that property will be able to visualize their own stuff in your property. If you've got a property full up of stuff, then some people find it harder to visualize where they're going to put their own sofa, their own TV, their own bed, their own kettle, their own things like that. So you need to try and arrange the furniture and arrange the contents of your room in a way that enables people to visualize their own stuff. If you've got sofas and things like that, make sure, look, this is an obvious one, but make sure the cushions are all flattened out and not creased up. Like, you know, when I sit on my sofa, I tend to just curl up all the sofas because I'm a big bloke and I just flop out on the sofa and put my arm over one cushion and then it becomes all creased and crushed. So make sure that they are lifted out and flattened. So that there's no, it just doesn't look hideous. You know what I mean. That's an obvious one. Now in the kitchen, by the way, you don't need to have tons and tons and tons of utensils on the work surfaces. People want more work surface. They want more space to cook and to prepare. So the more stuff you can remove from the work surfaces for the photo, chuck them in a cupboard and get them out of the way, take the photo. I would leave them in there for the time being, but just make sure you've got as much surface space in the kitchen on display as you can. In the bedroom, if you've got a bed up there, pull the covers flat. Do you know what? If you YouTube a video about making the perfect bed, it's so easy to just get that all looking flat and perfect. Do you know what? Photos of bedrooms, and go through Rightmove and find some for yourself, but photos of bedrooms look terrible when the bed looks all ruffled up and unflat. Also, open the curtains. Oh my goodness me, open the curtains. It drives me crazy when I see estate agents and letting agents taking photos of rooms where they've left the curtains closed. Just makes rooms look so dull. So open the curtains, and remember, if you haven't got a nice view out of that window, a lot of the time you can't actually see much of the view in the photos. So that means you can take the photo with the window in it, and a lot of the times if it's a little bit bright, then you won't be able to see the crappy view. But definitely open the curtains, please. And you know what? Take net curtains down unless they're really nice and bright white in colour and really neat looking. Net curtains that are not nice, white and clean and neat just look hideous. Get rid of them, please.